Morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 634. Happy Wednesday. Guess what day it is? It's trash day. Trash and recycle. This is a good one. Trash and recycle day. It really comes in handy when it's recycle day after I pick up a pallet of Goodwill cards. In fact, I probably should have gone through. It's actually in a diaper box, and it does kind of smell like diapers in there, like dirty diapers. I mean, these cards are just mangled. I should go show you. I think I threw them in the trash bag. I was going to take a photo of some of the cards, and it's like, hey, I'm not getting all Jordan National Trading Card Days and Jacob deGrom autos and vintage 70s. There's a bunch of diaper boxes filled with trash in this Goodwill pallet. Ooh, that's the first sip of the day. Trader Joe's. So it's all going in the recycle, but you're asking yourself, why are you spending the time even digging through that dirty box? Well, because I have no shame in smelly, stinky, beat up Cubs cards. So I'm pulling all the Cubs cards, even if they're beaters. I got to get to 1 million, beaters or not. So that's why I've spent time actually digging. And then I'll dig through like 2 or 3 piles and pull out like a couple of Paul Ossenmacher 92 Donruss cards and be like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I spending an hour digging through beat up crappy cards to pull out 17 Cubs cards? What am I doing? So I might just realize this is stupid. Didn't I just talk about efficiency the other day? And here I am digging through a bunch of beat up junk wax eras, pulling out 24 Cubs cards for the collection. What is up, Jenny? Jenny's in the house. Good morning. Victor, what is up? Ed, good morning. You were the live version of my drive to AC playlist. Excellent. Safe travels. The FOMO is beginning to kick in. I was on Hobby Hotline last night. Check it out. The Hobby Hotline house was hosting Hobby Hotline. So John Newman, Brad, Texas Card Dude, Val, Logan, we're all in the house, literally. So the FOMO began. I think the height of my national FOMO, missing the national this year, I think the height will come probably this afternoon when the doors open at 3 o'clock this afternoon. So 2 p.m. Central. You're going to find me curled up in a ball. Hide me from the national photos. So I think that'll be probably peak FOMO, 3 o'clock today, and then probably like tomorrow night, because I think a lot of like the get-togethers and the VIP parties happen on Thursday night. So I think that's going to be, and then I think by Friday night I'll be cool. I'll be okay. And then the weekend, I'll be cool. Don't worry about me. I'll be okay. So, but that's the thing. Here I am, national. That's the thing about the national. Like, yeah, you get a little FOMO, but then it's like, it goes away. Jenny says, have fun, Ed, drive safe. DR in the house. DR just unveiled something interesting. I was reading it this morning. cardshowlive.com. Check it out. Dan, throw ahead. I was going to type it in, but I'll let you type in the link and show off Card Show Live. I am intrigued by this venture. John Evans in the house. Good morning or afternoon. I'm assuming it's afternoon where you are. Get that like. I like it. I like the likes. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Mark Hoyle, good morning. Jenny says, hey, Dan, big announcement day for you. Wonder what it is, going full-time in the hobby, ? He did unveil it. He tweeted it out this morning. So Dan can pop that link here in the chat. Let's see. Where are we at? I skipped ahead. Card Hobbyist in the house. Good morning. There's John, that 70s card show. I was about a minute late because I was reading all of his commentary in the Hobby Hotline direct message chat this morning. What is up, John? Mark Hoyle says, hey, Jenny, have a great trip. Ed, let's see. Victor says, are you counting Cub duplicate cards? If so, I have tons of cards. Absolutely. In fact, and that's like the most common question I receive is, does that include duplicates? In fact, I always talk about getting shirts, and I've had a couple shirts made. I just don't like them. Actually, I liked one of them, but then I got like pizza stains on it. I got like pizza grease on it and couldn't get it out. So now I look like a slob if I wear it. But yes, duplicates count. In fact, when I was broadcasting the Illinois high school softball state finals, I think it would have been 2018 or 19. They're held down in Peoria, and I always check out Facebook Marketplace. And usually when I think about every time in the last few years that I've been in Peoria or Bloomington for let's see, what's Bloomington girls basketball, that I've looked up Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and usually brought stuff home. So one of the recent softball trips, there was a Facebook Marketplace post, just random, 1,250 1978 Topps Rick Russell cards, 1,250 copies of the 1978 Topps Rick Russell, and it was only $10. Like $10. That's a heck of a deal. So, I'm like, I'm all in. In fact, the guy that I bought them from lived right between, like, my drive in ironically, they put the production team up in Morton. The softball finals at that time were in East Peoria. So I took the back road, and I love that. And now, like, I didn't do the state finals this year. I didn't last year because it was wonky because of COVID. And then I did not do them this year. But now they're at the new park in Peoria proper, on the north side of Peoria. At the I keep saying the new Louisville Slugger complex, but it's actually not really new anymore. It's probably 10 years old by now. But I would miss that drive to the East Side Center because I did it 12, 13 years. And usually I stayed in Morton. So it was a nice, peaceful, especially at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning, early June in central Illinois. It's usually pretty warm, maybe a little muggy. And how I love that. It was a nice little drive. Get my coffee in the morning and have a little coffee, turn up the radio. Anyway, the guy that was selling the Rick Russell cards lived right on that route. In fact, it was like a block off the road that I take in to East Side Center. So after the set of games, one of the days I popped in, and he threw in like 50 Bill Buckner cards as well. So that was a heck of a deal. $10 for over 1,200 Rick Russell 1978 Topps cards. So yes, duplicates do count. The other question I get is, what card do you have the most of? And I had a spreadsheet when I first started the project. And I mean, now it's way too many cards come in. It takes a lot of time to type that stuff in. And, I was selling cards, so it just, didn't work. Anyway, the most cards that I have, the Rick Russell 78 Topps, I probably have, with 1,250 in that one purchase, probably another 50 to 100. So probably in the 1,300 to 1,400 range. The Dylan Cease 2014 first Bowman card, I actually have probably 600 or 700 of those. The 87 Topps Ryan Sandberg, that might actually beat out the Rick Russell. I might have 2,087 Topps Ryan Sandbergs because one trader, Mark Del Franco, I was blanking on the name, Mark Del Franco, what is he on Twitter? Del Space Franco. So Mark traded me like an 800 count box of 87 Topps Sandbergs. And then I've actually got them in bulk, not just that one time, multiple times. So I think the 87 Topps Ryan Sandberg is probably the most common Cubs card in my collection, followed by the 78 Topps Rick Russell and probably the Dylan Cease first Bowman, because I was prospecting him, by the way, which is today's topic. We're talking the game of hot potato. I'll probably bring up Dylan Cease and my prospecting of the now White Sox pitcher in today's program. Let's see. So that's a long answer, Victor. Victor's probably saying, it was a simple yes or no question. And he goes on a 7-minute rant about his driving to softball games. Let's see. Zach and Porter says Brewers ad on 1 million Cubs channel for shame. That's probably because it's pinging your IP address in Wisconsin. Let's see. Jenny says, yes, he counts dupes. He has like 100,000 of the 87 tops. Rhino. John says, screw FOMO. That house will smell like a barn by the end of the week. It probably already does. Dollar Box in the house. What is up? And don't forget on the Dollar Box channel coming up, the Dollar Box Challenge. We did a Dollar Box Challenge at the Madison Card Show this past Saturday, and it was fun. It was fun. I think we're definitely going to do it again. I'm totally down. I think Adam is too. So I definitely want to do it again with a little tweaks. We'll have to tweak it up a little bit. But I'm excited to see the final product when he gets that edited and put up. So check that out. If you're not subscribed to the Dollar Box, hit him up. Hit the subscribe to his channel. Speaking of the Madison Card Show, which, by the way, is coming up exactly 1 month from today, August 27th, Saturday, the 27th of August, at the Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive. Take a drink. I've already got, I added 2 new first-time dealers. In fact, I think they're both from Minnesota. So, by the way, Jenny, I did send you like 10 Madison Card Show business cards, so you had some. So when you're at your shows, hopefully, because I think you said you're doing a show this Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, a couple first-time dealers. Actually, I think I had more. I think I booked a couple like ahead of time, and I've got to go back in my my previous. So let's see. I booked 1 on Saturday, 2 last night, and then I think I have 2 others. So at least 5 first-time dealers at next month's Madison Card Show. And I like that. You know, it's nice to have the regulars that you depend on month after month, but it's nice to have a side rotation. And it's good both ways, because a lot of people, you know, they can't come out to every month's show, and they may like dealer A. And dealer A is there every month. They can count on dealer A being there in fresh inventory and you know, shopping with him every month. But it's also nice to see something new. You know, maybe dealer A doesn't have what this customer wants, but hey, this new first-time dealer does, and you have that fresh inventory guaranteed with new dealers. John says, Frank would tell you to put your big boy pants on and get on with your life. Probably. He probably would say something similar to that. Jenny says, I have zero FOMO. I'm going to sit at my desk, list the cards I already have paid for and am buried in, and watch the content and smile knowing I am making money on eBay and not spending money. That's a great way to put it. It's a great way to think. George in the house. What is up, George? Let's see. And my chat skipped ahead. Let's see. Where are we at? Oh, man, it really skipped ahead. Here we go again. There we go. Mark. No FOMO here, loading up on a lot of live baseball and music in the next month. That's nice. And I am actually doing more shows now. June and July was pretty slow for me, but now here in the next month, I'll be, let's see, not this coming weekend, but in a week and a half, I'll be set up in Rockford at the Northern Illinois Card Show. I'm excited for that. I'll have basically all brand new quarter boxes for that show. And then the August 27th Madison Card Show, I may be set up. I may have somebody watching my table for the August 27th show. And I've had like every show, and I haven't set up since I think March. February, my mom came up and watched my table when I had 2 rooms. March, I went back to the 1 room. And I set it because it was 1 room. It's a lot easier to handle. I'm not running back and forth. So I did my table. So that's the last time at the Madison show. So April through this past show, I had people like, hey, where's your tables? Where's your tables? I want to look at the bargain boxes, and haven't had them. So it'll be nice to be back, because I always do really well at the Madison Card Show with my bargain boxes. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's a better market. Maybe, people know. In several of those months, I didn't have new inventory. It was just kind of the same old stuff, but I had new customers. So I would like to get that table set up because I can make more money. It's kind of both sides. I can make more money, but also there's demand. Like, people want to look through my bargain boxes, because I say it's not always about the money. In fact, when I have dealers, that can't make it, well, if I can't make it, I'll still pay. It's like, it's not about the money. I'd rather have you committed and guaranteed to fill that table than have an empty table at the show and still get my money. It's not about the money. It's about it's about filling the tables. That's the key. I don't care about your money. I do, but I don't. I'd rather have that table filled with a committed, guaranteed dealer than a dealer I may or may not be able to make it, but I'll pay you anyway. Like, I want the table filled. That's the key, because empty tables at a card show are not good. People come to the card show to look at cards, not empty tables. Zach and Porter says, I need to watch the Hobby Hotline episode. Cool that Danny Black was on. I don't know Danny. That was my first meeting Danny. I enjoy his content. Sports Balt on Twitter. John had him on as a guest, started listening to his pod after that. Interesting. I'll have to check him out. Sports Balt on Twitter. I did not know Danny before last night. Dave, what is up? Good morning. Johnny Boy Cards in the house. John says Mark's been up for 4 hours. Let's see. Jenny saying hi. Mark says, true, 3:30 today, on the job at 6:15. Holy moly. My dog actually woke up early this morning. Usually my dog sleeps in. My dog will sleep in with my wife. My wife's out of town for a work conference. So it's just me and Biscuit last night and today. And at like 5:30, like I was awake, but I'm like, I was awake, but laying in bed staring at the phone. And Biscuit like jumps out of bed. Like, what are you doing? It's 5:30. I'm not even jumping out of bed. So took her out, and she always gets a bone after she goes out to potty. But I'm like, no, you're going back to bed. I'm getting ready. And then she jumped right down. I came down to make coffee. She had her bone. And then she wanted to go back upstairs. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going back to bed, but you can. So I put her back in bed. We'll see if she is still crashed on the bed when I finish here or not. Low Roller Scratcher in the house. We missed you yesterday. Did you buy Mega Million tickets? The jackpot worth $1 billion. Guess what? I'm going to tell you something that it may surprise you. I have never, ever bought a lottery ticket. Now, I have bought a low roller scratcher. I have bought scratch offs, but I've never played the lottery. Never, not once played the lottery. I don't even think I've gone in, like, if somebody else bought the ticket, like, hey, give me $5 or here's $5. I've never done that. I've never, ever played the lottery. It's just, in my opinion, and I know people do it, it's just throwing money away. It's a complete money suck. And I'd rather piss my money away on baseball cards than a lottery ticket, because at least when I piss my money away on 1,200 Rick Russell cards, I have 1,200 Rick Russell cards to look at. And people love when I tweet the photo of 1,200 of 12 stacks of 100 Rick Russell cards. But I can't do that with lottery tickets. So I do not play the lottery. And I haven't played a scratch off I probably haven't bought a scratch off ticket in 20 years. How old am I? I'm 40. So I was probably 20 the last time I bought a scratch off ticket. Now, I've scratched tickets. Like, get them in stockings. Mom throws one in a birthday card, or, get some in the stock. My mom used to do that a lot with stockings, and she hasn't done that in a while. In fact, a girl I dated back in like college, shortly after college, at Christmas, her parents were divorced, and her dad, who actually just passed away recently, we spent time at his house we did like a small little, hangout at his place before we went to family Christmas. He bought me $100 in scratch-off tickets, my girlfriend at the time $100 in scratch-off tickets, and then he had $100 in tickets himself. And I don't know if it was a planned thing. It was kind of like a game, like who made the most. And the results were pretty awful. Like, I think out of my $100 in scratch-off tickets, I think I had like $65 in winnings. So a net loss of 35. I think my girlfriend at the time had like $90. So a net loss of 10. But I think her dad ended up with like $200 or $150. So it ended up being right around break even, I think. $300, and I think it was like right around, it might have been like $250 or $275. So a net loss overall on $300 in scratch off tickets. And then he ended up giving us his winnings. And I remember taking it to the local gas station, and they're like, "Oh, we can't cash all these." So we had to take them in, like, we had to make like 3 trips to cash in like a stack of scratch winners. So that's my only scratcher story. And that was about 20 years. Let's see, 15 years ago. Let's see. George says, I've been up for 14 hours already. I beat Mark. George, you're cheating. Jenny says, LOL, a 180 turn in the chat. Let's see. Low Roller says, I sold more Michael Jordan cards. Good deal. And I listed a couple last night. I did want to list. My impressions have been going up, and I think it's because some of the names that I've been listing. I listed a Tiger Woods rookie year insert card, a LeBron early card, some MJs. So I'm at like 22 million impressions over the last 30 days as of right now, which usually it's a tick higher than it normally is. So that's a good sign. So I think I was around 22.5 million last night because it like peaks in the prime time. So in the morning, it's still like building those numbers, hopefully building those numbers as I continue adding more inventory, which yesterday I did add some inventory. What did I add yesterday? I think did I add football? Low Roller, what did I add in my eBay store yesterday? You probably know more than I do. I think I listed football in my eBay store yesterday. And it might, I think it was random football. And then I did list, I think I listed the F-Face Billy Ripken. I listed some Jordans, some Tigers. So yeah. So just looking at my last 30-day numbers, sales in dollars are up 2% over the last 30 days. I was hoping that would be higher as we wrap up July. Impressions are up 39% as of right now. Listing page views are up 33% over the last 30 days. Let's see. Where are we at? What is the latest Goodwill pallet find this week? So I have gone through, I don't think you were in the chat yesterday. I found a Jacob deGrom second year auto, and that I think comps between $75 and $100. Let's see. Did I find anything? Oh, so last night I did pull out a box as I did not make sweet corn last night. I made stovetop stuffing. This was a complete throwback to my high school days. So in high school, I didn't have cable. So my neighbor, and I was a paper boy, and my next door neighbor, the newspaper that I delivered would always give you a couple like extras, whether, they miscounted, or you could give those extras to like non-subscribers to like, pull them in. Like, hey, I like this newspaper, I'm going to subscribe. So I would always give one of those newspapers to my next door neighbor. So he got a free newspaper subscription. In turn, he would record 6 hours of wrestling each week for me. WWF Raw, WCW Saturday Night. This was in the pre-Nitro days, so this was like 95, 96, actually probably some Nitro, because I think it was some in 1996. But we just had one VCR in the house, in the living room. And so I had to like wait to watch this. And I would always pick this videotape up, this VHS cassette tape. He would leave it in his newspaper little drop box. And so on Saturday morning, I would go pick up the previous weeks. He would record from like Saturday through Friday or whatever. And so Saturday morning, it would be there waiting. And Saturday night, after my parents would go to bed, I would fix a box of stovetop stuffing and watch wrestling at like 11 p.m. at night. So last night, it's like, I don't have any frozen pizzas in the house. I don't feel like going anywhere. I don't feel like ordering anything for delivery. So I'm going to fix this stovetop. And it's like, hey, I'm going to turn on the Peacock, the Peacock network, the WWE network on Peacock, and watch an old Monday Night Raw from like that era. So I turned on, I think, a Raw from like 1994, and was watching that. And as I was getting the stovetop stuffing ready, I had a box that I had pulled out, a lot of early 80s, and it was all penny sleeved, 80 tops, 81 Fleer, 81 Donruss, 82 Fleer, 82 Donruss, and the stars are in there, like Mike Schmidt, George Brett, Nolan Ryan, Robin Yount, Carl Yastrzemski, all the superstars, Reggie Jackson are in there. No rookies, which there really isn't any in 81, 82 besides Cal Ripken Jr. He was not in there, by the way. But a stack, probably 200 that I'll list in my eBay store probably today, of like 81, 82 Fleer and Donruss stars. So that I would say would be the latest find. Let's see. There's Dan's link to cardshowlive.com. Community Shield Week. Only one other person here won't have to Google that. Let's see. Zach and Porter says, not only would Frank tell him to put his big boy pants on, he'd warn him that if he didn't, he would be cutting his lawn with 3 tube socks on and nothing else. Herman in the house. What's up, Herman? What's the current Cubs card count? I am way behind on counting. So like the official count is like 801,000, but I have probably 30,000 uncounted that I really need. Once I get this Goodwill pallet figured out, I still have half of it in my car. The other half is in my rec room. Just a complete disaster, as Mike Summer saw when he visited on Monday. So I'd probably say it's around 830,000. Mike actually added about 2,500 to the count. One of my dealers, Tom, had a couple Cub tubs at the last 2 shows, about 10,000 Cubs cards in each of those tubs. So that's 20,000. That's 22.5. There's some mail that I haven't even. Dub Mentality sent me a box, and I'm like, I'm going to open this at some point. I don't know when, though, so I apologize in advance. And that was like 3 weeks ago. So I have about a month's worth of mail that I haven't opened. I think I even have a couple packages in my car from the post office. So I have really gotten behind. The goal for Cubs cards this year, by the end of the year, was 900,000, which I think I might get close. And especially if my Cubs bulk dealer, which I think our last deal was about 50 or 60,000 Cubs cards. And that was in like February or March. If he has another big pile of Cubs for me, that should push me close or past 900,000. And then if I do hit 900,000 or shortly more, or a little bit more than that, I should be on target to hit the million right around next year's national, which was the ultimate goal, to hit 1 million by initially. I was having so much fun, just the journey of collecting the 1 million Cubs, that it's like, this, I could keep going. I could, pick up 50,000 a year. I'm okay stringing this out for 10 years. But then as it got closer, and all of a sudden the Cubs started mounting more and more. And now I was going from 100,000 collected a year to 175,000. It's like, okay, this is coming up fast. And then it's like, look, the national, this is like starting to coincide with my average yearly numbers. It's pretty close to falling within the year 2023, which is the national back in Chicago. So hopefully we can make that. But I do need to get these counted before especially before David reaches out and says, hey, I have another 50,000 for you. And then I get way behind. Let's see. So John says, I hit a $10,000 scratch off this week. Victor says, and I think John's probably fibbing. I'll bring a box with me to John Nolan Drive to the August show. Victor's going to be in the house August 27th. Madison Card Show on John Nolan Drive at the Sheraton Hotel. Low Roller asks John if he's buying the Mega Million since it's worth $1 billion. Dan, driving into work, not full-time into the hobby, just an interesting idea I wanted to try with a small group of interested people. Let's see. Jenny says she'd have no clue how to even start a website. It's actually, if you start with a blog, I'm not going to say it's easy. There's a lot of little intricacies within a website. But a blog, if you have just a blog, it can be pretty easy because a lot of websites now are really cookie cutter, especially if you go through WordPress or Wix. John says, any other advice, Low Roller? And why hasn't Bo given you a wrench to promote your channel? Jenny says, Dollar Box has awesome videos on YouTube. Been catching some old ones this week. Jenny's doing a show on August 13th. Very cool. So a week from Saturday. Let's see. Dollar Box does some nice. We got some naked, have a good time, find love. Holy cow, they're really blowing us up in here, aren't they? Where are we at? See, I'm way behind on the chat. We're way behind on the chat. Where are we at? By the way, as I'm trying to scroll up, hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. There we go. Zach says, Dollar Box does some nice editing of his videos. Inspired Porter and I to perform 3 fade transitions on our latest Turn Back the Clock Tuesday video. Very cool. Bo talking about singles club, wife approves. Now Bo talking about his side rotation. Give a man an inch. John says, do you think eBay sales will be lower, higher over the next few days with the national going on? It might make those not going a bit twitchy to buy, or it might not. I don't think you're going to see, it's not going to be noticeable either way. I think it's going to be status quo. I don't think the national has really much effect at all, especially if, like, with what I sell, $1.50, $2.50, $5 cards, that's my customer base. I would say a large majority of my customer base not going to be at the national. Let's see. Zach says, what's up, Zach Sports Cards and Collectibles? Good morning. So cool to see Bronco at Baseball Card Illustrated at your show last weekend. Yeah, it was great to have him out, and I'm pretty sure he's coming back for the August 27th show. Let's see. Low Roller says, Mega Million decrease your sale, your eBay store, since people are buying Mega Million tickets worth $1 billion. Probably not. I don't think so. Let's see. eBay auctions will be worse than ever for the seller side. Buyer side, make sure to check them auctions out because this week will be steals to be had. Buy it now on eBay will stay steady. I agree with that. I think auctions, and my opinion on eBay auctions, I think they suck for sellers. I think they're great for buyers, especially if they're rolling out the 99-cent auctions, which is what I do. And frankly, I hate if it's a $25 card and you start the auction at $19.99, it's like, pass. John says, do you require prepayment from yourself at your own show? Football is climbing upward on eBay with training camp. Yeah, players are reporting this week. I think some teams reported over the weekend. And I haven't heard too much scuttlebutt. That's a fun word, scuttlebutt. I haven't heard too much scuttlebutt about training camp yet. And maybe that's because players are still yet to report and nothing's really happening yet. So that's why I've been, although today I'm going to throw up those 81, 82 Fleer and Donruss baseball. But I did bring up my 4-row football box from just like stars that would be in a quarter box. It's kind of my eBay inventory / quarter box. Like I'm gonna throw some stars in my eBay store, and then what's left over will just go into a quarter box. Herman says the dubs in the Series 2 hangers are, excuse me, laughable. Zach and Porter says that is actually a decent take as people do have limits on discretionary funds. The city of Milwaukee saw that after they added a casino, a lot of local entertainment venues struggled. Interesting. Bowling alleys, low-tier sports, bars, etc. took a while to bounce back. Some didn't make it. Interesting. There's the link to Danny Black's podcast. I will have to tune into that. Check that out. George says they should have called in John Taffer. He'll get them straight. What's that? Is that Bar Rescue? Cooter's in the house. Biscuit ? You need to get another dog. That's actually my. Here's sidebar. Thanks, Cooter. My wife actually did want a second dog named Gravy or Muffin. Biscuits and Muffin or Biscuits and Gravy. But we tried a second dog last summer. It was a rescue from Houston. Such a cute dog. I don't even remember the dog's name. We adopted it for about 36 hours. It was a puppy. They kind of fibbed on how, we in the parameters, like, and I'm actually happy. I couldn't believe how in depth basically it felt like we were adopting a human, a little miniature human. So I think that's good. They're not just giving these dogs to incompetent people. But on our side, we specify, okay, we don't want a high energy dog because we're couch and Netflix people. We're not hikers and campers and active. We're couch people. Homebody couch people. And we want, 20 pounds or less, 25 pounds or less. Well, we go see this dog and it's just a little rambunctious and some big paws. Like, I don't know if this is, they said, oh, it's only going to be 20 pounds. I don't think so. I think it's going to be 40, maybe 50. But it's like, oh, he's so cute. He'll calm down. He's just energetic because it's new people. So we go through with it. We had like we go meet him. It's like, okay, we talk about it. We're going to do it. We're going to adopt. We go pick him up. And it was just, it just seemed like it wasn't meant to be from the day we picked him up because the family, so the dog ended up being, it was a puppy, very rambunctious, lots of energy. And he was going to be a bigger dog than what we liked. So from that point, it's like, okay, this isn't really going to work. But, we were kind of, I melt around dogs. So it's like, okay, this probably isn't good. I don't make good choices with this puppy, with these puppy dog eyes in my face. So we do it. And the family that we adopted, they were like the interim home. When they come from Texas, they have like interim homes, foster homes, I think is what they call them probably. And they had kids. I think they had a daughter that was like high school age, one daughter that was actually, they were taking her to college that weekend. And then I think a son that was in high school. And they were like super sad to see this dog go. And it's like, oh man. And it's like, he's so rambunctious. They have like, and they had like a boat in their driveway, an RV. They go camping. They're active. Kids are in sports. And we're on the couch watching Netflix. It's like, oh, man. So we take the dog home. And like immediately, this dog's like tearing up the house. Like immediately peed on our couch. Pooped on the floor. Like peed on the couch. Took him outside. Like he's still a puppy. They said he was potty trained. That was also like, it's got to be potty trained. Wasn't potty trained. Okay, this is the first 20. He's just getting used to things. So take him outside and run him around a little bit outside, get some of that energy out, bring him back in the house, and he poops in the house. After he was outside running around for a half an hour, poops in the house. Okay. I can't remember what else. Biscuit hated him. Biscuit wants to be the only child in the house. So we gave it and it's like we're like 3 hours in, and I look at my wife and I'm like, I don't know if this was a good idea. She's like, we have to give it time. And then the next day, my wife gives me the look. I don't think this was the right idea. And we kept saying, like, man, I wish that foster family would adopt him. And so we talked to the person that, is in charge of the rescue place. Like, it's just, they're like, well, we have to give it like 48 hours. And, the family was, actually on their way to, I think, La Crosse, maybe wherever she was going to school, the daughter. But ended up like, they're going to adopt him. So it ended up happy ending. The dog got adopted by the foster family that loved him. He loved them. And we went back to being a one dog family. And that was like an eye opener because my wife was always wanting a second dog. And I was like, no, one dog, let's keep it one dog. So that was a good practice run. It was almost like we babysat the dog as they left town for a couple nights, and then we took the dog back to his home. So hopefully they're all doing well. So there will not be any dogs named Gravy in this house or Muffin. Dollar Box says, I hauled 38 wheelbarrows of mulch last night in prep for a wedding we are hosting at our house this weekend. So I won't even be thinking about the National. Well, that's good. That's good that you won't be thinking about the National, but my back is already hurting thinking about hauling 38 wheelbarrows of mulch. Jenny says, I don't think buyers of $1.50 free ship cards are lottery players. My opinion, they focus on where their money goes versus blowing it. Mark says, no lottery here, no scratchers either. Zach's Cards and Collectibles says, I totally agree. The only gamble I do is opening packs of sports cards. Same here. I'm casinos I have no interest in casinos. I don't think I've ever played like a non-slot machine in a casino. I've been to casinos, a handful of times. But they just have no interest. I've gambled on sports online. I don't think I've ever done a sports book though. But casinos, I have no interest in a casino. Like there's just nothing about it intrigues me, interests me, or anything. And same with lottery tickets. Lotteries also reduce discretionary spending on things like manicures. Card hobbyists. Card Hobbyist says, odds are the Mega Millions will be won in the next drawing with multiple winners. A professor showed the limit of jackpots to be around 1 billion, as that number will bring in maximum number of players. George says they would decrease the amount of money John Taffer has to spend on his Botox. Let's all make guesses this morning. We all know we will see someone arrested at the National, but what will we see them arrested for? I think theft is like the main. But I wonder, there's always like a story about fakes, whether it be trimmed cards or autographs, who's going to be escorted out of the National. That's always fun. The drama, what will go down at the National legally, illegally. Zach and Porter says, damn you on a roll. That jet lag attitude is popping. Naked Love's in the house. John says, I'm hoping to be arrested at the National. I'm going to glue my hand to the 9.552 mantle. How about that? SGC, probably most likely going to overtake the Honus Wagner. SGC is the highest sports card sale. And people are probably saying, damn it, I was gonna do my impression, John, and I can't remember what you said in the chat. The Asian bots are here now. It's a party. It's only a Wednesday at 7 a.m., but the party starts. Bo, all by himself, is responsible for 5% depletion of the ozone layer thanks to his diet. Probably a little truth to that. Have to open the food pantry. I will catch the second half on the way home. Have a great day. You as well. I love how a question of did you find anything good in Goodwill Pallets turns into what was for dinner in high school on a Saturday night. If you ever are a shy card show buyer, go with Bo. He's social. Let's see. Dan in the house. What is up, Dan? He's at Midway waiting for my Manchester, New Hampshire flight. Dollarbox says someone will be arrested for selling fraud cards. I agree. Oh yeah, I have a blog, but like an actual good-looking website. Ask Naked HD how to start a website. Yeah, John says use Wix or similar. Yeah, Wix has basically Wix is kind of like a blog. Dan says Blogspot. I'm not a big Blogspot because it's pretty antiquated. Wix is modern, and it's basically all set up for you. You basically just type in, it's all set up so it looks nice. I actually transferred all of my 1millioncubs.com stuff from Wix to WordPress just because I wanted to do more with the website. And with Wix, it was a lot of nickel and diming, like every little thing you were nickel and dimed for. It's great for just like a free blog. But if you want to do more and have more of a business type website, then I definitely would go WordPress. That's what 1 Million Cubs currently is. I don't like it, but I also don't really use it anymore either. And I'm paying way more than I should be paying. So I need to downgrade my subscription on WordPress. Dan says picked up some Burley Platinum parallels this week. The Aaron Rodgers report video is disturbing. It looks like a Calvin Klein commercial. It does. He looks like, I saw a lot of memes. Looks like Nicolas Cage. Let's see. Was that dog already last summer? Time flies. Yeah, that was last summer, probably like last June or July. Houston dogs are dicks. I didn't know this until we were talking with the dog rescue agency that Houston has like a really bad stray dog problem. And so a lot of the rescues come from Houston. Let's see. I forgot if Frank has a dog. Don't think so. Frank does not have a dog. Every once in a while, when he leaves his screen door open, my Biscuit will run over there and get into his house. That happens about once a summer. Biscuit goes on a freedom run inside Frank's house. But no, Frank does not have a dog or a cat. Let's see. 1 dog makes you a dog owner. 2 dogs makes you a bodyguard. A puppy makes you insane. LOL. We just got a 1-year-old, and wow, our 2-year-old is definitely a lot less energy. Absolutely. 20 years from now, Ancestry DNA will have a couch people ethnicity. I guess I fall into the couch people tribe. I base my opinion of Houston dogs on my in-laws who reside there. The small print on the puppy after house trained said sort of, right? Yeah, it was in really, you had to get out a magnifying glass. Cooter says 23andMe can always detect couch people by the high percentage of potato chip oil grease in the sample. Right on. Let's see. Oh, shoot. Where are we at? I skipped ahead. Jenny says Lance McCullers Jr. has a program that saves the dogs from Texas from being put down. My dog is from Texas. My dog met a baseball player at 3 months old. I have a photo of him and her when she left. That's pretty cool. There's the link, Lance McCullers Foundation. What's up, baseball card curmudgeon? Good morning to you. Naked HD just doesn't stop. K Daly, good morning. Happy National Week to you. So I was going to talk about prospecting. Here we are, 48 minutes in, hearing about dog rescues, stovetop stuffing, and my high school paper route. So prospecting, I actually tweeted something out that was a little controversial. Some people, and actually there were some takes on one take I was kind of flabbergasted by, but there were a couple. I had a few people say it was in bad form, which, hey, that's your opinion. I'm okay with it. I don't think it is. So basically, the tweet was because yesterday somebody in the chat asked me, did you sell? I think it was Luke. Luke's got cards. Said, hey, did you sell that Elly De La Cruz you pulled? So back in May or April, the new Bowman product, I bought a ton, like 40 Bowman blaster boxes. In one of the last boxes I pulled in Elly De La Cruz, first chrome yellow refractor autograph, number to 75. Naked HD, take a chill pill. Thank you, Cooter. So I ended up selling it raw. I thought about doing a one-day auction, but I hate auctions. So I left it at a high buy it now price and accepted offers. I ended up taking an offer 1,300. I think my list price, actually I can look here. My list price was 1,500. And I took a $1,300 offer. I was very happy with that. It paid for all the blaster boxes I bought. I can't remember exactly the count, but I think I can do the math because I'm pretty sure I spent like $975 on Bowman blaster boxes. So what's that? They were like $32. So about 30. I think I bought 30 blaster boxes. So that paid for, even after fees and shipping, that paid for all of my blaster boxes. 43, I think, is how many Bowman mega boxes I bought last year. I only bought 12 this year. I still have 6 unopened of the new mega boxes. They're just not fun. In fact, I haven't even pulled them. They're still in Target boxes. They're right. Actually, here's one right here. I don't know if you can't see it. I don't feel like pulling it out, but they're still in the Target boxes. So I sold it 1,300. I was very happy. Luke asked in the chat yesterday, did you sell it? Elly De La Cruz absolutely tore up high A this year. And he's only 20 years old, which is young for high A. He actually was promoted to double A. He's only played in like 3 or 4 games. Slower start in double A, but he's 20 years old in double A. So Elly De La Cruz, holy cow. So I'm like, wow, I probably could have held on to it for a couple months and really maybe even made $2,000. I could have sold it for $2,000. So I started looking up, sold. I got lucky selling it for 1,300 because some of the results were much lower. And I'm like, hey, I saw several yellows. Ray from Philly, what is up? I saw several yellow refractor autos of Elly De La Cruz sold. And I'm like, so I went back to look to see what serial number mine was. And mine was, was it 14? It was 14 out of 75. So my card sold. Let's see. So again, my card sold raw for 1,300. Back on. Well, I don't know, but I think it was in early May. So in June, so whoever I sold it to subbed it to PSA. It got a 9, and it sold. He put it on auction, sold for $978 shipped. Ooh. Because likely there was a premium for PSA grading to get it back and put it on auction in that quick of time. So express or whatever. So I'm like, oh, wow, that's a big oof. It got worse, though, because I kept looking. I saw the same picture. It got worse because apparently that 970 wasn't a good sale. It was likely, a non-paying bidder, and it went back to auction. And this time on July 6th, the card that I sold for 1,300 in May, then sold for 970 in June, sold on July 6th for $699. Oof. Almost half, just about half of what it was bought for. So there were a lot of comments to my initial tweet. And many people thought it was bad form that I'm sharing customer sales information, but it's provenance. It's serial numbered. Like, it's public information. It's, anybody can go look it up. It's on eBay. It's not like it's secret, super secret information. But hey, if you think it's in bad form, that's okay. That's your opinion. I don't think it is. So that was, somebody said, is it really necessary for you to post somebody else's profit and loss records? It's like, well, I'm not posting their profit and loss records. I'm just sharing what mine sold for, and that same person sold it because it's serial numbered. And you can see the provenance of it because it's the serial number. Anyway, but he ended up, like, when I shared all the information, this person actually said, okay, I get your point of view. But then there was somebody that I was baffled at. The comment that baffled me, though, was, dang it, where is it? Oh, this comment just absolutely floored me. I can appreciate that you want to show how flipping quickly can prove beneficial in the long run. However, how does this help the listing and selling of cards? Showing people losing money over subbing and selling doesn't exactly spell consumer confidence. And like, what? So do you want me to just pump and dump and say this the sky is never going to fall and just lie? So my initial response to that was, so we should all ignore the bad and focus only on the profits. Nah, got to take the bad with the good. Transparency is critical. You don't get better by hiding faults and mistakes. This tweeter's response was, you're not wrong. It's just not good for Elly De La Cruz Bowman baseball collectors to see the hottest prospect in baseball take a hit. Why not? He goes on, nobody is running to list their cards after seeing your post is all I was really saying. Good. 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 That's the reason I posted it. That's the reason I posted it. Don't piss away your money on 20-year-olds. So my response was that. Let's see. And I hope so. I'm not here to be a Bowman hype man, despite what you see behind me. I'm not here to be a Bowman hype man and watch people piss away their money on 20-year-olds in the bus leagues. But I still love Bowman and will rip the hell out of it. And again, look behind me, Bowman U. There's 47 or 48 blaster boxes of Bowman U football. I've been pumping it, and guess what? I'm going to dump it too. I don't think that's a long-term play, Bowman U. But I think in September, October, there's going to be some hot singles. Maybe those blaster boxes sealed will come up in price, and you'll be able to flip sealed product of it. I don't know for sure. I did make a prediction that Bowman U blaster boxes will sell for higher than Prism. That's kind of tough because Prism starts out at 35. Those are 20, so that's going to be tough. But guess what? When college football season comes around, I'm going to dump those, and you're going to see just more white boxes behind me in 3 months. So that was the one tweet that was just like, so you want people just screaming from the rooftops, buy, and then the floor falls out from under them and the hobby crashes and burns. Man, F that. That guy's a joke. Dean Machine. His name's a joke. Dean Machine, you're a joke. Dean Machine. Let's go back to the chat. A GoPro on Biscuit at Frank's would be content gold. That would be fun. Let's see. Jenny says some people got defensive. Dollar Box had a paper route. It's my favorite job I ever had. I hated my paper route. Freaking hated it. My dad did put, this is just, this defines my nerddom. My dad put saddlebags because I absolutely hated those those canvas bags where you put the papers in. It was always like rubbing my neck. It was uncomfortable. My shoulders and my neck would hurt. So my dad, I got, I think I had at one point a Cridler, which is a German moped. I had a Cridler and it had saddlebags on it. And we ended up, I think, my friend Luke, who brought up the Elly De La Cruz, not the same guy, but same name. My friend growing up, his name was Luke. Bought it from me for like, I don't know, $50. But I kept the saddlebags, and my dad put a bike rack on my bike. So I had saddlebags on my bicycle that I would put the newspapers in. And so I would deliver those. But there was nothing worse on a paper route than wind. And I just like pretty short. I mean, when you're 14 years old, it feels like forever, but fairly short paper route. I still hated it. Still now, when I worked at the grocery store, I this was like the typical small town job. You go from junior high paper route to high school bagging groceries at the local IGA. I took my friends made fun of me because there was a guy named Chris that was a couple years older than us. And he had a paper route. In fact, he like trained me for the paper route. I was like his sub on the paper route. And then he graduated from paper routing and went to work at the local IGA. And then when I got into high school, I went to work at the IGA, and then he went to work, I don't know, somewhere else. It wasn't radio, but I would always make fun of him. He was older than me, and he picked on. So I had the freedom to pick on him at the grocery store because he picked on me on the paper route. He was a jerk. But he was kind of like, he was like the nerdy, like I was too. But he was the nerdy local, like, and so his like famous saying at the grocery store, like when when a lady would come into the grocery store, or no, when a man would walk in the grocery store, he would say, "Howdy, sir. How's the missus?" That was, and that was his voice every time. "Howdy, sir. How's the missus?" And so I would make fun of that. And my dad, to the day he passed away, always got a laugh at that, because he would say the same to my dad. My dad would walk in to get his ice cream. "Howdy, sir. How's the missus?" Chris Ort. Let's see. George says, my favorite job ever was mowing fairways at the golf course. That sounds like a fun job. Probably the grocery store was, because I had a lot of fun. Like we would have grape wars on like Sunday. Like in the morning, everybody's at church, like in a small town. So it's pretty, you get that, like when you open the doors at 7 a.m., you get that donuts in the newspaper. But then then people go to church. So from like 8 to 10 or 9 to 10, it's pretty dull. So we would have like we had those, like those small stores have like all those like dollar toys. So we'd take like the cheap water guns. We'd have water gun fights with the little squirt guns. My best hit, I had a direct hit. A girl named Stacy worked at the store. It was just the two of us, and I was in the back where the produce was and picking off grapes. And I think this is how Grape Wars started. And I whizzed this grape, and it, I mean, I could have took, glad she was wearing glasses, because it hit her right in the glasses. And she had like grape juice across her glasses. Hopefully my old boss, Lynn, I still run into Lynn every time I go back home. Hopefully Lynn's not hearing about my grape wars at his local IGA. Let's see. 43 in the chat, listening to be talking about bagging groceries at the IGA. Hit the like button if you like IGA content. Max says, for every Elly De La Cruz, there are 10 more prospects that don't go up after release. Well, Elly De La Cruz went way down after release. Plus, it's not in original color, so it won't get treated as well. Look at how much, and he's done really well, Elly De La Cruz, and his prices went crazy down. My raw sale in May was $1,300. The same exact card in a PSA 9 sold for $700 on July 6th. And he's like a hot up-and-coming prospect that's really played well this year. It's just, I was shocked. That's the main reason why I tweeted that yesterday, was because I thought that card was probably a $2,000 card by now. Certainly not $700. Card Hobbyist says, Bo carrying over the Providence from Hobby Hotline last night. That's actually, I was trying to think of the word to use, and somebody mentioned it last night on Hobby Hotline, and I'm like, Providence. That's what I need to talk about when I talk about this Elly De La Cruz tweet. Providence. K Daly says, some people will complain about a free lunch. Ignore them. That is true, and especially on social media. That is very true. Cooter says, prospecting isn't for me. I am still kicking myself about the $20 of Joey Bart cards I bought from you. He will have to amputate a leg at the hip to hit his weight. Card Hobbyist says, don't you know you were supposed to be a hype man for the inflation of card prices? Let's see, where are we at? John says, non-couch will never grasp your genius, Bo. Prospecting is mostly going to result in a loss. That's why it's called prospecting. The thing is, you can make a ton of money prospecting. Dylan Cease, and prospecting pitchers is not, most people don't, because it's a bunch of uncertainty. And I put, I mentioned early on, I have 600, 700, 800 Dylan Cease first Bowman cards because I was prospecting the crap out of him. And I bought, and he was coming off Tommy John surgery, like at a young age, and he's a pitcher. And I was buying his first Bowman Chromes for like $5. I bought a gold refractor auto for like 35. And I had a price on it. It's like he's a Cub by the time that I was ready to sell, because I prospected Dylan Cease to sell the cards, not as a Cubs collector, because it came before my 1 million Cubs project. But I was doing the Cubs project, and it's like it's a Cubs, it's a gold auto. I'll sell it for X amount, and I think I set it at like 225. And I was willing to take, I think, as low as 200, but I ended up selling it for $215. And I was pretty happy with it. And actually, now that I look at that was in 2018. So I bought it in probably 2016 for $35 and turned $35 into 215 in 2 years. And it's like, yeah, it's a longer term hold. But now look at that. And that was in 2018, as he's starting to make his climb. That's about the peak, when they're starting to make their climb, unless they come out, if they're a hitter and they hit a bunch of home runs, then they'll go up in the big leagues. But once they hit the big league, it's like, we're on to the next guy. He's already made it. We're on to the next guy. And I've looked at gold refractor Dylan Cease, and they're about $200. And he's like, he should have been an all-star. And he's probably in the conversation for AL Cy Young. I don't know. I don't think he's the favorite, but he's certainly in a conversation for it. And yet that card is the same as it was in 2018. And the market is definitely still, even though it's down from those peaks in 2020 and even last year, the market's still higher than what it was in 2018. Look at prices on, historically significant cards, and market's still higher on most, if not all, of those cards from where it was at in 2018. Let's see. Jenny says the people that got defensive, I know they don't follow your videos, Twitter content. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think the two people that actually, I think there were 2 or 3, like this guy, Dean Machine, like none of the people that were critical of that tweet follow me. So they just see the tweet, and it wasn't meant, like, my tweet wasn't meant to like puff my chest out and say, hey, look at me, I sold this for 1,300. I'm smarter than the next guy, because he graded it. It graded a 9, and he sold it for half of what it sold for raw 2 months prior. It was meant to be what Dean Machine didn't want me to do. And that was to show that, hey, prospecting can be a dangerous game financially. Let's see. Max says, sounds like he is holding a bag of Elly. Definitely. And that was my first thought was, oh, this guy's trying to get Elly De La Cruz. He's either holding a bunch, or I've just exposed that it's probably a good market. You know what? And here's the thing. That Elly De La Cruz sold for 1,300 in May raw. It sold at PSA 9 in July for 700. I guarantee you that card sells for 2,000 at some point in the next year. In the next 12 months, that card will, because there were a couple issues. The main issue was he put it at auction. Second issue, he put it at a high price at auction. That card would have sold. It probably would have sold. It may not have sold for 1,400 as a buy it now, but it would have sold for, I bet, 1,000 at a buy it now price, at least, maybe 1,100, 1,200. I have to look at the other comps, but if it was a buy it now, auctions suck. I hate eBay auctions. As a seller. Dollar Box says, I had an early morning route, so I would load up my delivery bag and rollerblade to each house. You were more active than me. Remember, I'm a couch person. I did the old bike. It was awesome in the summer, not so much in the winter. Right. And yeah, you here in Wisconsin, I assume you grew up in Wisconsin. I grew up in Illinois, northern Illinois. Winters suck, especially when you have a paper route. So initially, my first paper route was, I think, the Moline Dispatch. And at that time, it was an afternoon paper. And so that worked for me. I was not a morning person growing up. Now I am. But in junior high and high school, no mornings. So the Moline Dispatch, at some point when I was had that as a paper route. It went to a morning paper. So I quit because I wasn't going to wake up before school. I couldn't even wake up to go to school, let alone do a paper route and then go to school. And then I delivered the Kewanee Star Courier, and that was always an afternoon paper. I think it still is. Tracy says, except for the weekends were always mornings. And those suck because then people really want their papers early in the morning. Tracy's in the house. What's up? Good morning. Drive all over town as a young teen mowing. And by drive, I mean driving my old riding lawnmower all over town. Henry says, I'm so glad I didn't prospect Mike Trout back in the day. And the thing is, like, that's people are like, oh, he could be the next Mike Trout. You know how many not Mike Trouts there are? There's thousands. You can use the example. He could be the next Mike Trout, and he's likely going to be the next Brian Taylor, Kevin Moss, you name it. John says we've got a new impression to add to the arsenal. What about Stacy's mom? She's got it going on. Let's see. Oh, where am I at? Tracy says potato baseball in the stock room. Taping the new guy to a pallet. Fun times working at a grocery store as a teen. Did not play potato baseball, but I had a fun game when the all of our lights were those, like, what are they called? The neon or the tube lights. So we had tube lights and they always went out, and I freaking hated those things. So we'd, like, when we changed them out, they would always be stacked in the back of the grocery store. In our grocery store, and I've talked about, we had a bat problem. Not good for a grocery store. Old building. In fact, it was a movie theater up until like the 1950s and 60s. And then it turned into the town grocery store. Anyway, we would put those tube lights in the back, and there were railroad tracks. So we had so we had Route 6, which was the main highway in Anawan, Illinois. We had the IGA right on Route 6. There was a little alley that went behind the grocery store, and that's where, like, the trucks would come in to unload each week the groceries that we would buy. And then there was a big garbage bin. We would burn. We didn't recycle. We burned all the cardboard boxes and all that. That was like my favorite job because I got to be outside, and my friends would come up, and I'd be like casually throwing boxes in. So I looked like I was working, and my friends would just hang out. And then right beyond, like, the big garbage burn barrel was between the alley and the railroad tracks. And so there were obviously railroad rocks. So I would go back to the railroad tracks, and I would throw rocks at the tube lights, and they shatter and boom, boom. So that was my game. Didn't play potato baseball, but played shatter the tube lights behind the grocery store. Cooter would tape up paper towel rolls and kick field goals into the meat market when our IGA was slow. Max says 99% of stuff goes down after release. A lot of money stuff in the hobby has been a free fall for the last year plus. Some stuff obviously hasn't, but a ton has. And that was kind of my thinking. I wanted because I was the first sale of that yellow refractor of De La Cruz. The first sale typically is always the highest. I didn't think it would be a free fall like it was. But I'm glad I sold when I did. Paul Carl Cards in the house. What is up? Max says dollar box prospecting only goes bad if you blow your load on one guy, go wide, not deep, and you make a killing. I've probably netted 25K plus on prospects. It can be very lucrative. It's all about timing. And like I said, the guy who bought that De La Cruz for $700 a couple of weeks ago, I bet if he holds, I bet he can turn that and make 3X in the next year. Jenny says we may need to stop talking raw cards and say ungraded. I think we are attracting some crazy commenter. Hey, that could be. Wow, I helped with a mod thing and didn't just abuse my power on a fellow bow enjoyer. Thank you. Let's see. John says, imagine sitting down to come up with your Twitter handler and Dean. Where's that at? And Dean Machine, the one that wins out over the others. Where are the bots that hype Bowman prospects? Bowman HD hot prospects. Hard to believe the Moline Dispatch didn't have more professional distribution. I know, right? I know. Translation, tube lights equals fluorescent lights. Thank you, fluorescent lights. Tube lights. I've heard it all now. Tube lights is a saying someone wearing granny panties would use. Burned the cardboard bow is the cause of global warming. I know. Blame my boss. LOL. Right after you said raw cards. The next Mike Trouts are the toughest to TTM. Fallen into obscurity. Some of their one-of-ones or low number never go down in price. That's the thing with all this Bowman hype. Now at release, everybody's chasing. I mean, back in the day, a first Bowman Chrome, like at release, the highest one was $40 or $50. And now that's like, now it's like 400 or 500, but also the box prices went from 75 for a hobby box of Bowman to what are they now? 400 at release. So Jenny's going to go. I'm at an hour 15. I'm going to go get some more coffee. I'm going to do some shipping. Have a great Wednesday. Oh, I've got to take out the trash too, and recycling. So have a great Wednesday. If you're Ed is en route to Atlantic City, safe travels, Ed. Everyone else who's traveling out to the National, have a great trip. I will be jealously following that content. So have a wonderful time. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central for Hobby Evolution, and we'll see you then.